The girl with the cheap badge. Maya Rahman learned how to smile like nothing hurt. Not because she was weak, because in some offices, a woman with a cheap ID badge and a temporary label didn't get to show pain without it becoming gossip. She walked into Northbridge Consulting every morning like a guest in someone else's house, careful not to touch anything, careful not to take up too much space, careful not to remind the wrong people that she existed. She was the project assistant. That was the polite title. In reality, she was the girl who carried folders, fixed slides at midnight, fetched coffee when senior managers forgot, and took blame when deadlines collapsed under impossible demands. And the funny thing was, Maya wasn't even the worst at being treated badly. There was Luis, who had been passed over twice because his accent might confuse clients. There was Priya, brilliant and soft-spoken, who got interrupted until she stopped speaking at all. There was Mr. Carter from IT, who had been called the help by a vice president loud enough for everyone to hear. But Maya got it in a special way. The kind that smiled while stabbing. "Good morning, Maya," Nina from HR would say, eyes sliding over Maya's scarf like it was a stain on a white shirt. "Love your look. Very cultural." "Thanks," Maya would answer because she had rent to pay. The first hook of Maya's story didn't start with a scream or a slap. It started with a calendar invite. Urgent, client deliverable review, 8 a.m., conference room A. Organizer, Ethan Cole, Director of Strategy. Ethan Cole didn't just run strategy. He owned it the way some people owned air, like everyone else should be grateful he allowed them to breathe. Tall, sharp-suited, always smelling like expensive cologne and power, Ethan had a voice that made junior staff sit straighter even when he wasn't talking to them. He also had a habit. He treated low-status employees like furniture. Useful when needed. Invisible when not. Maya knew what that invite meant. Someone was about to get blamed. At 7:58 a.m., she slipped into conference room A with her laptop, 2 printed decks, and a stomach full of dread. The room was already filled with leaders who rarely looked at assistants unless something went wrong. Ethan stood at the front with his arms crossed, jaw tight, eyes scanning the deck on the screen like it had personally offended him. The client, Vanguard Biomed, was Northbridge's biggest account that quarter. The deliverable was due today. The deck looked clean. Too clean. Maya's fingers hovered over her keyboard as she checked file versions. Then she noticed something that made her blood run cold. The financial projections slide had been swapped. Not updated. Not revised. Swapped. The numbers were inflated. The assumptions were dishonest. The deck was a lie. Maya's heart thudded once. Twice. She glanced at Luis, who looked confused. Priya's face went pale as she scrolled through her notes. Ethan clicked to the projection slide and smiled, like a man about to win. "This," he said, voice smooth, "is how you present confidence to a client. They don't want timid. They want certainty." Maya's throat tightened. She knew those numbers. She'd built the original model at 2 a.m., triple-checking formulas, insisting on realistic assumptions. These weren't hers. Ethan looked toward Luis. "Explain the logic behind the growth assumptions." Luis blinked. "Sir, those aren't." Ethan cut him off. "Just explain it." Luis stammered, eyes darting because he was smart enough to know he was being set up, and terrified enough to still try to survive it. Maya's palms went damp. Priya tried to speak. Ethan ignored her. A senior VP frowned. "These margins seem aggressive." Ethan didn't blink. "We're an aggressive firm." Then his eyes finally snapped to Maya. "And you," Ethan said like he'd just remembered a chair could talk. "Maya, you assembled this deck, correct?" The room turned. That moment, right there, was the first punch. Not because Maya had done anything wrong. Because she realized Ethan was about to throw her under the bus so smoothly he'd still look clean in his reflection. Maya swallowed. "I assembled the deck from the team's approved materials," she said carefully. "But the projection slide appears different from the version I finalized last night." Silence. The air changed. Ethan's smile didn't move, but his eyes sharpened. "Are you accusing me of altering the deck?" Maya's heart raced. If she backed down, she would become part of the lie. If she didn't, she would become the target. "I'm stating a fact," she said. "The slide has been changed." Ethan stepped forward, voice low. "Watch your tone." The VP leaned in. "Ethan, did someone change the numbers?" Ethan didn't answer the VP. He stared at Maya. "Maya," he said, "do you understand how serious it is to disrupt a leadership meeting with your suspicions?" His emphasis on your hit like a slap. Like he wasn't just questioning her work, he was questioning her right to speak. Maya felt her cheeks burn, but she didn't lower her eyes. I understand how serious it is to mislead a client. For 1 second the room froze. Then Ethan laughed softly, like Maya had told a joke. All right, he said. We'll handle this later. Meeting adjourned. As people stood, murmuring, Maya's hands trembled under the table. Luis mouthed don't, warning her. Priya looked like she wanted to disappear. Ethan walked around the table toward Maya. Stay. Everyone filed out. When the last person left, the door clicked shut. And the conference room suddenly felt too small. Ethan's smile vanished. What did you think you were doing? I was stopping a lie, Maya said, voice quieter now. Ethan stepped closer. Do you know what happens when an assistant embarrasses leadership? Maya's spine stiffened. Do you know what happens when leadership lies to a client? Ethan's eyes narrowed. You think you're brave because you read a spreadsheet? Maya lifted her chin. I think I'm honest. He leaned over the table. Honesty is a luxury for people who can afford to lose. Maya's chest tightened. Then maybe this place is too expensive for me. Ethan stared at her for a long moment. Then he did something she didn't expect. He didn't yell. He didn't threaten. He simply said coldly, You're done here. Maya went still. Excuse me? You heard me. Pack your things. HR will process it. He gestured toward the door like she was being dismissed from his presence. Maya's mind flashed. Rent, bills, her mother's medicine, the way her little brother looked at her like she was the proof dreams could work. But another flash came too, Luis's shaking hands. Priya swallowed words. Mr. Carter being called the help. Maya stood. Fine, she said, voice steady. I'll go. But I'm not going quietly. Ethan's mouth twitched. You think anyone will believe you? Maya looked him straight in the eye. I don't need belief. I need records. She walked toward the door. Ethan followed. In the hallway outside conference room A, Maya reached for the elevator. And that's when it happened. Ethan moved fast, cutting her off, stepping into her path, forcing her to stop. The wall was behind Maya now. Cold, smooth, unmoving. Ethan didn't touch her. But his presence pinned the space. His voice dropped. You're not leaving. Maya's breath caught. Move. Ethan didn't move. Not until you listen. Maya's pulse hammered. This is inappropriate. You want to talk about inappropriate? Ethan's eyes flashed. You just declared war in a room full of executives. Maya's voice shook with fury. I declared truth. Ethan leaned in just enough that Maya could smell his cologne, sharp and expensive like a warning. You have no idea what you've stepped into. Maya's hands clenched. Then educate me. Ethan held her gaze. And then, so quietly it almost didn't sound real, he said the words that shattered her entire understanding of what was happening. I changed the slide, he admitted. Maya froze. He continued, voice controlled. I changed it because I needed to see who would catch it, and who would stay silent. Maya's mouth went dry. That's insane. Ethan's jaw tightened. No. It's necessary. Maya stared at him. Necessary for what? Ethan's eyes didn't blink. To clean out the rot in this company. Maya's heart pounded harder. And you fired me, to test what? To test if you'd fight when it cost you everything. Maya's voice cracked. Why me? Ethan's expression shifted just a little. Because, he said, you're not who this company thinks you are. Maya's stomach dropped. Ethan reached into his inside jacket pocket. Maya's whole body tensed. He pulled out a folder. He opened it. And inside was a printed email with Maya's name on it, sent to Ethan at 3:12 a.m. Subject, confidential audit findings, Northbridge Consulting. Maya's blood turned to ice. Ethan held up the page. You want instant karma? He said. You want justice? He looked at her like he had been looking for her for a long time. Congratulations, Ethan whispered. You just proved you deserve it. The trap that wasn't for her. Maya's mind refused to cooperate. Her thoughts scattered like papers in wind. That email, she whispered. Where did you get that? Ethan didn't step back. Answer the question I should have asked the first day you walked in here, he said. Who are you really, Maya Rahman? Maya's throat tightened. She wanted to lie. She wanted to run. She wanted this to be a misunderstanding that could be solved with a simple apology and an HR form. But the folder in Ethan's hand was real. The timestamp was real. The subject line was real. Confidential audit findings. Her name. How do you have this? Maya repeated. Ethan finally moved, one step to the side, giving her air again. Because I was brought here to fix this company, he said. And someone told me the truth was buried under polite smiles and quiet fear. Maya's hands trembled. So you set a trap. I set bait, Ethan corrected. To see who bites when money is on the table. Maya's voice sharpened. That makes you no better than them. Ethan flinched just slightly. Say what you want about me, he said. But I'm not the one who's been collecting evidence in secret. Maya's stomach twisted. Because it was true. She had been collecting evidence. Not for revenge. For survival. For the people who didn't have power. Maya's eyes dropped to the folder again. You tested me, she said. You threatened my job, to see if I'd speak. Ethan's voice was low. And you did. Maya laughed once, no humor in it. You're proud of yourself? Ethan's gaze hardened. I'm relieved. Maya stared at him. Relieved? He exhaled. Because if you stayed silent, I would have known this place broke you too. Maya's chest rose and fell fast. You don't get to break someone to see if they're already broken. Ethan's eyes flicked, like guilt trying to hide. You're right. That admission startled her more than the trap. Ethan glanced down the hallway then back. Come with me, he said. No, Maya snapped. Ethan's jaw tightened. If you walk out right now, HR will process your termination by lunch. Nina will smile while she does it. Maya's stomach clenched at the name. Ethan added, if you come with me you'll learn why your email ended up on my desk. Maya hesitated. Then she followed. He led her to his office. For the first time, Maya noticed something off about Ethan's space. No personal photos, no trophies, no ego decorations. Just a neat desk, a locked cabinet, and a whiteboard filled with names, dates, and arrows like an investigation map. Ethan shut the door. Sit. Maya stayed standing. Ethan didn't push. He opened the locked cabinet and pulled out a thick binder labeled, Northbridge Internal, Misconduct Reports. Maya's heart stuttered. He flipped it open. Inside were screenshots, complaints, witness statements, anonymized surveys, payroll discrepancies, promotion patterns, email threads where senior leaders mocked employees in private channels. And then Maya saw it. Her own notes. Her own screenshots. Her own evidence, printed, organized, cataloged. Maya's voice went thin. You've been watching me. Ethan shook his head. I've been following the trail you started. Maya's mind spun. How? Ethan tapped the audit email again. You sent your findings to a confidential reporting channel, he said. That channel routes to the board's external compliance partner. Maya blinked. No, I didn't send it to the board. I sent it to... She stopped herself. Because she suddenly realized something terrifying. The person she had sent it to might not have been who they claimed. Ethan watched her face. You sent it to someone you trusted, he said quietly. And that person leaked it. Maya's blood ran cold. Because there was only one person inside Northbridge who had been kind to her early on. Nina from HR. Nina had offered Maya guidance. Nina had asked questions. Nina had smiled and said, you can tell me anything. Maya's hands balled into fists. Nina. Ethan nodded. Nina took your report, he said. And she tried to bury it. Maya's voice cracked. Why? Ethan turned the binder toward her, pointing to a page. There it was, a chart showing salary bands, promotions, and leadership potential ratings. And a pattern so clear it felt like being punched. People with certain names advanced slower. People with certain accents got communication coaching. Women got tone feedback. Employees from undesirable backgrounds got stalled. Maya's throat tightened. They've been doing this the whole time. Ethan's voice went flat. Yes. Maya whispered, and nobody stopped them. Ethan's eyes sharpened. Someone is stopping them now. Maya stared. You? Ethan didn't smile. Not alone. Maya's suspicion flared. So what am I to you? A tool? Ethan's voice lowered. You're a key witness. Maya flinched. Witness to what? Ethan opened another folder. Inside was a contract with Vanguard Biomet. And an email chain. A senior partner at Northbridge had been bribing a Vanguard executive, quietly inflating projections to win bigger budgets, then charging unexpected fees later. Maya's stomach flipped. That's fraud. Ethan nodded. And the projection slide you saw today was the same fraud, polished and dressed up. Maya's voice shook. So the trap wasn't for me. Ethan looked her dead in the eye. No. Maya felt a wave of nausea. Then who? Ethan pointed to a name on the board. Charles Wexler, senior partner. Maya had heard that name like a warning. Charles was the kind of man who shook hands like he owned your future. Ethan's voice was ice. Wexler thinks he owns this place. He thinks assistants don't matter. He thinks you'll stay silent because you need your paycheck. Maya swallowed hard. Ethan continued, but you didn't. Which means we can do this. Maya's eyes burned. Do what? Ethan's voice softened just barely. Make them face consequences. Maya stared at the binder, at the evidence, at the names of people who had cried in bathrooms and swallowed humiliation with their lunch. She whispered, instant karma. Ethan nodded once. Instant karma. Maya's hands trembled. So why did you corner me? Ethan's jaw flexed. Because I've watched people like Nina destroy good employees with paperwork and fake smiles, he said. And I wasn't going to let you walk out without knowing you're not alone. Maya's breath caught, because that sounded dangerously close to care. But she forced herself to stay sharp. Okay, Maya said. What do you need from me? Ethan opened his laptop, turning it toward her. On the screen was a scheduled meeting. Emergency board session, 4 p.m. Attendees, board members, external counsel, compliance officer, and Ethan. Ethan pointed. At 4 o'clock we expose Wexler. HR will try to block it. Nina will try to discredit you. Maya's throat tightened. How? Ethan's eyes narrowed. They'll call you emotional, unstable, angry. They'll imply you're exaggerating. Maya swallowed. She'd seen that playbook. Ethan leaned forward. So we control the story. Maya's voice was calm now, but dangerous. How? Ethan slid her a small device. A voice recorder. Because, Ethan said, Wexler is meeting Nina at 2:30. And he doesn't know I scheduled the room. Maya stared. You want me to record them? Ethan nodded. If they admit what they've done, on tape, karma won't be slow. Maya's fingers closed around the recorder. Her heart pounded. Then she whispered, and if they catch me? Ethan's gaze locked onto hers. They won't, he said. Because you're going to do exactly what they never expect. Maya's voice was steady. What? Ethan leaned in, eyes intense. You're going to walk into that room, he said, like you belong there. The room where the lie got caught. At 2:25 p.m., Maya stood outside conference room C, breathing like she'd just run up 10 flights of stairs. Her outfit was simple. Black blazer, white blouse, clean scarf, ID badge clipped straight. Nothing flashy. Nothing dramatic. But inside she was shaking. Not because she was afraid of being yelled at. Because she was about to challenge a system designed to crush people like her politely. She remembered the first time she'd been underestimated here. A senior manager had asked her to take notes during a meeting, then presented her analysis as his own the next day. She remembered Nina's smile. It's just politics, Maya. Don't take it personally. She remembered Luis's face when he got told his accent was a brand risk. She remembered Priya's silence after being interrupted for the 10th time. Today, Maya wasn't just fighting for herself. She was fighting for proof. The door opened. Nina walked in, heels clicking, holding a tablet like a weapon. Behind her came Charles Wexler, expensive suit, silver hair, a face that said consequences were for other people. Maya stepped back into the hallway shadows, pretending to check her phone. They didn't even look at her. Of course they didn't. To them she was background noise. She waited until they entered the room, then slipped in quietly through the second door. Conference room C had 2 entrances. Ethan had told her that. Ethan had planned this like a chess move. Inside, the room had a small side alcove with a cabinet and a coat rack. Maya tucked herself behind it, heart pounding so loud she was sure they'd hear. She clicked the recorder on. Nina's voice floated. Charles, we have a problem. Wexler scoffed. The assistant? Nina sighed. She's not just an assistant. She's been collecting evidence. Wexler laughed like it was cute. Let her. These people always think screenshots are power. Nina's tone sharpened. She sent an audit email. Silence. Then Wexler's voice lowered. To who? Nina hesitated. She claims it was confidential. But it got rerouted. Ethan has it. Wexler cursed softly. Ethan is new. He wants to play hero. Nina said, he scheduled an emergency board session. If this gets in front of the board. Wexler cut her off. Then we do what we always do. Maya's stomach tightened. Nina's voice was almost bored. Discredit her. Wexler said, exactly. She's young, she's emotional, she's... He paused, and the next word came out like poison disguised as logic. Sensitive. Nina laughed quietly. And with her background, we can imply she's difficult. Maya's hands clenched so hard her nails bit skin. Wexler continued, we say she misunderstood numbers, overreacted, caused disruption. We say she's unstable. Nina added, and we'll frame it as a security issue. She accessed files outside her role. Maya's throat burned. Wexler's voice became confident again. If she pushes, we threaten legal action. She can't afford lawyers. Nina said, and if Ethan defends her too much, we make it about him. A personal interest. HR can open an inappropriate workplace dynamics investigation. Maya felt sick. They weren't just cruel. They were practiced. Wexler's tone turned casual. Also, the Vanguard projections. That slide was fine. Aggressive numbers sell. Nina's voice lowered. But it's fraud, Charles. Wexler replied, it's business. Maya's breath caught. Because there it was. The admission. Clear as daylight. And then Wexler said the sentence that made Maya's blood run cold. We'll sacrifice Ethan if we have to, he said. But we are not letting an assistant bring us down. Maya's fingers trembled around the recorder. She had enough. She should leave now. But the door suddenly opened. And a voice filled the room like a blade. An assistant? Ethan Cole said. That's what you call her? Wexler spun. Nina's face went paper white. Ethan walked in with 2 men and a woman in suits, external counsel and compliance. Behind them, 2 board members Maya recognized from company photos. Maya's heart slammed into her ribs. Ethan didn't look at Maya's hiding spot. But his voice was steady. You just admitted to fraud, he said. And discrimination. And retaliation. In a recorded room. Wexler forced a laugh. Ethan, don't be dramatic. One of the board members, Ms. Alvarez, lifted a hand. Charles, she said sharply, sit down. Wexler's smile cracked. This is a misunderstanding. Compliance officer, it doesn't sound like one. Nina tried to recover. We were discussing hypothetical risk management. Ethan's eyes were ice. Hypothetically calling her unstable? Hypothetically implying her background makes her difficult. Nina's voice shook. Ethan, you're being unfair. Ethan stepped closer. No, he said. I'm being late. Wexler's jaw tightened. You can't do this. I built this firm. Ms. Alvarez's voice cut through. And you poisoned it. The room buzzed with tense silence. Ethan turned slightly, finally speaking toward Maya's alcove without looking directly. Maya, he said calmly, you can come out now. Maya's knees felt weak. She stepped out slowly, the recorder in her hand. The board member's eyes landed on her. In that moment, Maya expected shame. She expected to shrink. But something unexpected happened. Ms. Alvarez's expression softened, just a little. Like she recognized the look on Maya's face. The look of someone who's been forced to be brave because nobody else was going to protect them. Maya held out the recorder. It's all on here, she said, voice steady despite the tremor inside. Wexler's face shifted, fear finally breaking through arrogance. Nina's lips parted. Maya, please? Maya looked at her. You smiled at me, Maya said quietly. You told me I could trust you. Nina's eyes darted. I was trying to help you survive. Maya's voice hardened. No. You were trying to keep me small. Wexler snapped. You have no idea what you're doing. Maya met his gaze. Actually, she said, I do. And the instant karma started, not with screaming but with paperwork. The compliance officer spoke. Charles Wexler, you are being placed on immediate administrative leave pending investigation. Wexler stepped forward. You can't. Ms. Alvarez cut him off. Security will escort you out. Wexler's confidence cracked completely. You're choosing her over me? Ethan's voice was cold. We're choosing truth over rot. Nina tried to move toward the door. I need to. Compliance officer, Nina, you will remain here. Nina froze. The board member turned to Maya. Ms. Ramon, Ms. Alvarez said, thank you for your courage. Maya's throat tightened at the word courage because she hadn't felt courageous. She had felt tired. Ethan's voice softened slightly. And Maya, he said, there's one more surprise. Maya blinked. What? Ethan reached into his jacket and pulled out a sealed envelope. He handed it to her. Maya stared at the name printed on it. Maya Ramon, appointment letter. Her hands shook as she opened it. Inside was a formal document appointing her as special projects lead, compliance and client integrity. Maya's breath caught. This isn't real. Ethan's eyes held hers. It's real, he said. Effective immediately. Maya's vision blurred. Why? Ethan's voice was quiet. Because you already do the job this company pretended to value. Wexler laughed bitterly. You're promoting an assistant? Ms. Alvarez looked at Wexler like he was something on her shoe. We're elevating the person you tried to crush. Nina's face crumpled. Maya held the letter like it might vanish. And for the first time in a long time, she felt something that wasn't fear. She felt seen. The kind of power that doesn't need to shout. The next morning, Maya walked into Northbridge with a new badge. Not shiny. Not flashy. Just different. Her title had changed. But what mattered more was the way people looked at her now, like they were trying to rewrite their memory of who she was supposed to be. Luis stared at her badge, eyes wide. Maya, is this real? Maya nodded. It's real. Priya's hand flew to her mouth. Oh my God. Some people smiled like they were happy for her. Some smiled like they were calculating how to stay safe. And some, like the manager who used to steal her ideas, couldn't meet her eyes at all. Instant karma has a strange sound. Sometimes it's a slam. Sometimes it's silence. At 9 a.m. an all-staff email went out. Charles Wexler suspended pending investigation. HR leadership under review. Vanguard Biomed contract temporarily frozen for integrity audit. Anonymous reporting protections expanded. Mandatory bias and retaliation training for leadership. External oversight installed. People whispered in hallways. They refreshed inboxes. They called spouses and friends. And in the middle of it all, Maya sat at her desk with a cup of coffee she hadn't fetched for someone else. Ethan knocked lightly on her doorframe. You holding up? Maya looked at him. I don't know what to feel. Ethan nodded. That's normal. Maya's voice was quiet. I thought you were just another powerful man who enjoyed control. Ethan's jaw tightened, like he deserved the accusation. I was trained to control outcomes, he said. Not protect people. Maya studied him. So why protect me? Ethan hesitated. Then he said the truth simply. Because I watched my mother get crushed in a workplace like this, he said. And I promised myself I'd never be part of it. Maya's chest tightened. Ethan added, and because you reminded me what courage looks like when it has no safety net. Maya swallowed. You still shouldn't have trapped me. Ethan nodded, shame flickering. You're right. I'm sorry. That apology, real, clean, without excuses, hit Maya harder than any compliment. Because accountability was rare here. Maya exhaled. Okay, she said. Then help me do this right. Ethan's eyes warmed slightly. That's why you're here. Over the next weeks, karma didn't stop at Wexler. It rolled through the company like sunlight in rooms that had been kept dark for years. The senior manager who stole credit got exposed when Maya reviewed version history and sent the evidence to compliance. He didn't get to spin it. He got reassigned to a non-leadership role, publicly. The VP who called Mr. Carter, the help, found himself apologizing on record in a mandatory integrity session, while Mr. Carter was recognized for saving Northbridge's systems during a blackout. Nina, who had smiled while hurting people, sat in a conference room with external counsel and realized charm doesn't work on documented truth. Her resignation was accepted before she could negotiate. And then came the moment Maya didn't expect. A town hall meeting. The entire company gathered in the auditorium. Ethan stood on stage with the board. Maya sat in the front row, palms sweaty, heart pounding. Ethan took the microphone. For years, he said, this company rewarded performance and ignored character. Murmurs. Ethan continued, we allowed quiet discrimination to hide behind professionalism. We allowed retaliation to hide behind policy. Maya felt her throat tighten. Then Ethan did something that made the entire room go still. He stepped away from the mic and gestured to Maya. Maya Rahman, he said, voice loud enough for everyone. Please come up. Maya's legs felt heavy. She stood and walked up the steps like she was walking into a storm. When she reached the stage, Ethan handed her the microphone. Maya looked out at hundreds of faces, some curious, some guilty, some hopeful. Her voice shook at first. I used to think respect was something you begged for, Maya said. Something you earned by being quieter, smaller, easier to ignore. Silence. Maya swallowed. But that's not respect. That's permission. And I don't want permission anymore. A few people nodded. Maya continued, if you ever looked at someone here and thought they were less because of their job title, their accent, their skin, their clothes, remember this. She lifted her badge slightly. The people you dismiss often carry the truth you're afraid of. The room was still. Then, one clap. Then another. Then a wave. Maya's eyes burned. After the meeting, Luis approached her, voice thick. You saved us, he said. Maya shook her head. No, she whispered. We saved each other. I just stopped being silent first. Priya hugged her so tightly Maya almost cried. That night, Maya sat alone in her apartment, the city lights flickering like distant candles. Her mother called. "How was work?" Maya smiled softly. "Different." Her mother's voice warmed. "Different is good?" Maya looked at the appointment letter on her table. She thought about all the days she swallowed humiliation just to survive. She thought about the moment Ethan blocked her path, how fear had turned into clarity. And she realized something. Justice didn't arrive because she was secretly rich. It didn't arrive because she was a hidden CEO's daughter. It arrived because she was brave enough to be honest when honesty was expensive. "Different is good," Maya said. Before sleeping, Maya wrote one sentence in her notebook, a reminder for the next day and every day after. Don't confuse silence with peace. And somewhere in a boardroom downtown, men like Charles Wexler learned the kind of lesson they hated most. You can't crush people forever and still call yourself powerful. Because real power doesn't corner the vulnerable. Real power builds a world where nobody has to be cornered at all.